Hey everybody, I'm Garcia, and today we're going to be flexing our artistic muscle, composing beautiful paintings, and selling them to commissions in Sunset Over Water. In this game, the players are going to be simultaneously deciding what they want to do for the round, moving around a grid of cards that represent paintings, acquiring those, and then selling them for commissions in order to get the highest score. Let me show you how it works. We'll come on back after that. I'll tell you how it feels and if I think it's a good game. The objective of the game is for the players, over the course of 6 game turns, 6 days, move around the landscape, paint these paintings, and then sell those paintings to commissions in order to get the highest score in the game and win. So to set it all up, we're going to display of these cards a 5x5 grid, set the rest of them aside. Each player begins in the center of the board here, and then we're going to shuffle up and display a number of these commissions equal to the number of players plus 1. So in this case, I've got 3 players. We'll flip over 4 of these, and these are what's required from the players in order to make that commission, to sell that painting or those paintings. I'll go over those in just 1 second, but basically 4 of these would be flipped over. I know you can't see them all right now, but that's okay, we'll come back to them. And then you would also flip over one of these daily goals that could make for some bonus points as well. And again, I'll go over this in just a little bit. So we're going to flip that over as well. Everyone is given a deck of these small cards, and these show you a couple of different pieces of information. So they show you, here, let's pick one of these colors. These are going to show you the time at which you wake up, and they all have a different time. So 9 a.m., 7:30 in the morning, 10:15, and so on. The second step is how much you may move and in which directions you may move. So 3 steps everywhere except up and down. This one lets you move just orthogonally up to 3 steps as well. And then the last number is how many paintings you may paint, as in gather from the display. So everyone has a deck, and you are going to shuffle that up, draw 3 cards, and then pick one that you are going to utilize. So I'm just going to give each player a card here. So we're going to have green there, and then orange picked that, and the purple player picked that. They are all simultaneously revealed, and they are going to, the players will then take turns based on at the time at which they woke up. So in this case, 5:15 in the morning is the earliest. That player is going to go first. And that player is going to be allowed to move in any direction, in a straight line, by the way. Once you begin moving, you may not turn. They can move up to 2 spaces, and they'll be taking 1 painting from the board if they want to. So this player is going to take a look around here and see what they could do. Oh, what could I do? They are going to move straight down, and they will move indeed 2 spaces. 1, 2. You can take any painting that you land on or go over unless there is someone else on that painting. So that player, they could even take the one they begin on, but that player could not have taken this opening card because there are other characters on. And so they'll go ahead and take this one here. All right, and then the players are allowed to sell cards, sell these paintings for those commissions. So in this case, this player has in fact already completed a commission. The commission cards tell you here how many paintings are required and what is required of those paintings, what must be in them. So in this case, a single painting showing just a mountain, which is in fact what this player gathered right here as indicated by the top corner of the card. So they're going to go ahead and give this card up, and they will take this commission, set it aside in front of them in their victory display. And then that card is done, and the next player would go at 6:45 in the morning. So that is the green player. They can move only orthogonally up to 3, and they can take up to 3 paintings. And so they are going to move, let's say they're going to move that way, and they will go 1, 2. They cannot take the one they left from because, well, this player's still there, but they will in fact take the other 2 cards. And they also can complete a commission right now. This one here. requires a single painting and must have a flower and any one other thing, is what the question mark means. Well, this one has a flower and a mountain. That qualifies. They'll take that painting, or rather that commission, and sell that painting. And they'll keep the other card, by the way, just in front of them for now, in order to utilize it later to sell to a different commission, hopefully. And then lastly, of course, we have the orange player who woke up the latest, and they are going to be able to move in every direction except sideways, up to 4 steps. They can take 2 paintings, and so they'll examine what's left here as far as the commissions go. And so this one requires 2 paintings. One must have a waterfall, the other must have 2 symbols, but they don't care what it is you paint. They'll buy it if it has 2 symbols. And then this one here requires 3 paintings, and they must all feature a waterfall. The question mark with the 3 dots after that means they don't care about what else is on there. It could be a single waterfall, it could be a waterfall and 2 other symbols, 1 other symbol, doesn't matter. If it's got waterfall, it's good to go. And so this player is going to take a look around here and go, I'm going to go that way. And they'll go 1, 2. It's as much as they can move. And they can take 2 paintings. They'll take that one. It's got a waterfall. That's a good start. And that one, which also has a waterfall. Those 2 cannot be utilized right now to complete one of these 2. So they'll just hang on to them. Now, let us check here the daily goal. And the daily goals, the way these work is they normally go to whoever did something last during the day. In this case, this one says, be the last player to not sell a landscape painting. Well, Orange just did that. They were last to not sell one. And so they are going to qualify for this and take it. That's worth 2 victory points. So Orange is making points already. Once this is done, we replenish the board by flipping over new cards from the deck and adding them everywhere there is an empty spot. Like so. Oh, that's the wrong deck. Like so. And then the players are going to draw 3 more cards, pick another one, and take a following turn. And we would replenish a new goal, a daily goal. We'll flip over one of those, as well as flip over new cards for the players to sell paintings to. When you draw your 3 cards, by the way, you are going to pick one, and the other 2 go on the bottom of your deck to be drawn later on. At the end of the game, after 6 days, you are going to be drawing the last 3 cards. You'll be taking the one, putting the other 2 back. You'll have no deck at that point, just those 2 cards. And then you finish out that round, and the game is over at that point, and then you are going to score everything. And your final score comes from, as is shown here on the card that every player is given, by the way, which has on the front your phase planning, your phase 1 planning, and your phase 2, which is trekking. And on the back, it tells you cleanup, and it tells you game end and how you score. Very handy cards. It tells you across the bottom here that for commissions, you are going to get victory points. So let's say our player here did indeed finish that. They get 6 points for that, plus whatever else they completed. You are going to get victory points for your daily goals as such. And for every card you did not sell, you are going to sum up on your paintings that you're still hanging on to the number of symbols. And for every 2 symbols, you get 1 victory point. Highest score is the winner of the game. And that's all there is to Sunset Over Water. All right, so that is Sunset Over Water. Let's talk about it. I'm going to start with thematic ties. Is the game, does it feel original? Is it well implemented? Absolutely. I love this theme. You are a painter walking around, painting these gorgeous illustrations, selling them for commissions. It all works beautifully. The only thing that feels mechanical in this game is this idea of the daily goal, the last one to do something arbitrary. But that's a minor thing. I can easily ignore that for a theme that feels fresh and is well implemented and is just interesting and different. I definitely like that. The aesthetics in the game are fantastic. Every illustration is gorgeous. Everything just looks great. My only nitpick, again, actually comes from the same cards, those daily goals. I don't like, and this is again very minor quibble, that the background is this tan khaki color and the letters are still white. whereas on the commissions, the cards are a deep brown and the letters are white, much more legible. I do wish they had switched the font, either the color, the background color, or the font on those daily goals. Other than that, everything looks great. Just beautiful production. The replayability, does the game scale well? Are there new things to discover? I think the game scales very well and, in fact, has a single-player mode that I did not mention in the overview, but works very nicely. Now, it is one of those single-player modes in which you simply get a score and then you compare how you do from game to game. Just try to best your own score. Those are not necessarily my favorite kind of solitaire games. I like the win-lose style of game ending, but it works very nicely. They give you a couple of new concepts to play with. They adapted this to a solitaire game really smoothly. There is no fake second player, none of this stuff. Very nicely done. And like I said, I think it scales really nicely through the entire player count. So this discovering new things as far as that goes, I think once you've played this game once or twice, you know what to expect, but the puzzles you are presented with from game to game, and they're very minor puzzles, I don't think this is one of those games that if you are apprehensive about puzzly games, you should be worried about. Those puzzles are very straightforward. But you are presented with a new layout and a new puzzle each time it's your turn, and I think that's very nice. The game length. Does the game stay interesting? Is it fulfilling the entire time? I would have to say yes, absolutely. It's a very short game for one thing. You play 6 rounds, 8 rounds if you're playing solitaire, and each one is engaging. Sometimes you want to go early because you want to grab that one card. Sometimes you want to do more, so you're okay with going later and risking that something you want is not there anymore, or that someone creates a gap in your path, which, by the way, you cannot cross. If there is a gap in your way with a card missing, you cannot go over that gap. You can go over other characters sitting on cards, but not a gap in the display. And so that's also cool. And of course, the goals, those commissions, do not replenish throughout the round, only at the end of the round. So you have to decide, when do you go? Do you do less early? Do you do more later? Hopefully that's neat. And I think the game length is appropriate for that. So, ease of play. Does the game feel fiddly? Are there any rules that seem out of place? Anything like that? Again, I think the daily goal idea feels a little strange. It's implemented well, and it is easy to understand. And I like having another source of victory points. I'll certainly say that. But it is most definitely the one thing in the entire game that feels a little tacked on. A little bit. Not a big deal, just a little bit. As far as the rest, it's very easy to play. Moving around the grid is easy. Your cards that you play yourself have 3 very clear steps to them. Acquiring the gorgeous cards and then turning them in for these commissions, very straightforward. Even the symbology on those, which could have been a little problematic, and by that I mean the commissions themselves, are very clean and straightforward. So I like that. Very easy to play. And then lastly, tactics and strategy, luck, things like that. This game certainly has a little bit of luck, but I find that they were able to mitigate it at every possible step. That's great. One thing I did not mention in the overview also is that you get to see the top card of the upcoming commissions deck. That one's revealed. It's not available to you. You cannot acquire it, but you get to see what's coming up. One of the cards that's coming up. I like that. You get to draw 3 cards and pick from that. So you don't have your entire hand, but 3 cards should give you a nice amount of choice. I like all of that. I like the fact that 2 symbols become 1 victory point at the end of the game. So if you know you cannot finish any of these goals, grab cards with a lot of symbols on them. Go for the 3 symbol cards, That could translate into some points. You can't quite line up what you're doing with the objectives, then check out that daily goal. If you're, maybe you can just go for that. Go later in the day, see if you can accomplish that. So there's a lot of tactics in this. For such a small game, there's a nice amount going on. Lots of little choices you can make. And I think that's great, especially for such a short game. So I like this one. It's a well put together game. Gorgeous. It feels to me like pencil first. has kind of done it again, with what they did with Herbaceous. A very simple game, a gorgeous game, a clever theme. Well, they've done that again. You've got all of those things. And the parts come together in a package that is refreshing, engaging, and interesting, I think, to a lot of different people. This one's going to get a strong seal of approval from me. I certainly recommend it if you are looking for a filler-style game that does something fresh, that feels like it has a different theme, and uses that theme to its advantage to give you some neat set collecting. So there you go. That is Sunset Over Water. Thanks for tuning in, everybody, and I'll see you next time.
Thanks so much for watching the Dice Tower videos. Find more great videos and reviews, as well as our top-rated audio podcast at Dicetower.com. The Dice Tower is sponsored by Cool Stuff Inc., where you can find great games for great prices. Cool stuff in stock. Check them out at CoolStuffInc.com.